All right, let's get into the Roto World player news and recap the game last night that had tons of fantasy output, tons of scoring here, Jay, and a little bit as we look at the fantasy leaderboard. Jahmyr Gibbs does what he does and just dominates the week. Ryan Flournoy didn't see that one coming, over 26 points, and then kind of spread around when you look at the rest of the fantasy production. Good to see Jameson Williams heavily involved. David Montgomery goes over 14 points, which if you were starting him in your flex, you probably feel good about that. A little bit of news or noise, Jay, with David Montgomery scoring for the second straight game amid Jahmyr Gibbs having another big night.
Yeah, I would downgrade David Montgomery after this game. Just the usage. I think, you pointed out a couple weeks ago, it felt like that Giants game where Gibbs went off for almost 300 yards as the touchdown in overtime. Felt like that was kind of signaled a changing of the guard where they were finally going to give the keys of the offense completely to Jahmyr Gibbs. This feels like Jahmyr Gibbs' team right now. And David Montgomery,
look at that.
See the snap rate down to 30%. There are only really 2 drives where he was the guy, and he breaks the long touchdown, and gets the 6 for 60. But David Montgomery in a game that they're pretty much leading the whole way gets 6 carries, and more often than not, that's going to lead to 25, 30 yards, not 60 yards and a touchdown. He looked good whenever he's out there. David Montgomery made the most of his touches, but Jahmyr Gibbs just completely monstrous. So I think it speaks to how good and how dynamic and versatile Gibbs is that I think in the fourth quarter at one point, Gibbs had like 19 rushing yards on the day and still just a complete beast in the receiving game.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's just so effective in the pass game as well. Jahmyr Gibbs drinks for free, by the way. He drinks for free today. It feels like Jahmyr Gibbs drinks all the time here for free at the happy hour bar. He's just been carrying teams all year. But you nailed this, Jay. It feels like the Lions are leaning into just how ridiculously explosive and efficient they are with Gibbs. And it's not to take away from the player that Montgomery is. It's just it was desperation time for the Lions. They basically almost had to win this game, and they're just leaning into what is their best offensive threat.
Yeah, and also in the fourth quarter, it was just Gibbs. Right. Like it felt like in previous years or earlier in the season, it might be David Montgomery comes in as the closer there, but it's like, no, we're just going to go to Jahmyr Gibbs over and over again. So Montgomery, I think he's going to be a matchup-dependent flex. Like, I wouldn't want to really have to start David Montgomery next week against the Rams, for instance. You may not have a better option, but this is Gibbs' backfield now. It's Gibbs' offense.
Yeah, good call out with Gibbs. He had 7 carries in the fourth quarter. David Montgomery had just 1. And like you said, the script would actually indicate that you think that's the time to get Montgomery going downhill, and they don't believe that.
The other issue, too, is that Gibbs, as amazing of a game as he had, it was because of touchdowns and receiving work.
Right.
Like this Detroit offensive line, like Gibbs didn't have a chance on a lot of these carries.
Yeah.
And at one point, he's like 9 carries for 19 yards on the ground, and he salvages it with the longer touchdown at the end. But this Detroit offensive line, Connor, it hasn't clicked all season. The interior seems very shaky.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Dallas's run defense has gotten better since the trade deadline, and just as a unit as a whole.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.